And may we say a very good afternoon to each and every one of you, and welcome to the Township of Douro-Dummer and our council meeting of the 2nd of February, 2021. We certainly hope everyone who's joined us that you're staying safe and staying home and helping get through this pandemic the best we can. So welcome everyone. This meeting is being recorded and is being broadcast live on our YouTube channel. And I think we know the drill. We will try our best to handle the meeting as we normally would in our council chambers. It'll probably be a while before we do that again, but we certainly will do our best to conduct the meeting in an efficient way. Tonight's meeting should be extremely efficient, and we will get through it with the business that we have. We're going to call the roll, if you'll give it a little wave to make sure you're all there. Deputy Mayor Moher.
Here.
Councillor Watt. Councillor Landsman. And Councillor Watson. And we are indeed all here. Also, temporary CAO Martina Chait-Hardwig is here. Martina, away from you. Also joining us throughout the meeting, when appropriate, will be our Fire Chief Chuck Pedersen, our Senior Administrative Assistant Vanessa Sweeting, and Administrative Assistant Nicole Zenner. They are behind the scenes pushing all the buttons for us. So when we need to talk to staff, they will be there. So with all of council in attendance, I will call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge that we're on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga-Anishinaabe, and we offer our gratitude to the First People for their care and their teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Please join us for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. Our meeting is now underway. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest with any of the matters that we are dealing with at our meeting tonight? Seeing no hands. Adoption as the agenda as presented for February 2nd. A motion, please, to adopt that agenda. Councillor Landsman, Councillor Watson, all in favor? All opposed? That motion is approved. We also have a number of minutes to receive and adopt from January 15 and a couple of meetings, a special meeting January 19th and a regular meeting of the 19th of January. Those minutes are in your package. A motion, please, to approve and adopt those minutes. Councillor Watt and Deputy Mayor Moher, all in favor? All opposed? That motion is approved. Any business arising out of any of those minutes? Councillor Watt, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Just wondered, I see our manager of public works isn't on here, but maybe our temporary CAO can give us a quick update on where we are with the opportunity to maybe clean that sidewalk that we were petitioned to. If there's any updates on that, I didn't see it in the council package. So, and I know we wanted to get at it as quick as possible to make a decision with winter still in process.
And the object of the game was to indeed look at the impact and how much that would cost us. That's what we're waiting to hear. Go ahead, Martina.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Staff have received some additional legal information that was required to answer some of council's questions. And we're just finishing up the financial analysis that was requested as well. So you should see that in the forthcoming meetings.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other business out of any of the minutes? Delegations, petitions, presentations, we have none. Other business staff reports. We have a request to open the 6th Line Road South Dummer Road Allowance. Martina, can you brief us on that, please?
Yep, through you, Mr. Mayor. Attached in your package is a request from Brian Bartlett. There's 2 emails dated January 11th and January 20th looking for permission to do work on the 6th Line Road South Dummer allowance in the Dummer ward. He is in the process of completing his purchase of 737 6 line. I've also attached a copy of a GIS map, which shows you the location of the lot in relation to where the road currently ends. And I've also attached a copy of the policy which regulates work on unopened road allowances. As per this policy, Jake Condon, Manager of Public Works, has attended the site with Mr. Bartlett to inspect the road allowance, and he has provided the minimum standards that will be needed if the request is approved by council. I've also spoken to Mr. Bartlett via email and on the phone, and he is fully aware of the process contained within the policy for opening the road allowance. If Mr. Bartlett's request is approved, he understands that he will need to have a survey completed by an Ontario land surveyor to reestablish the limits of the allowance and to ensure that any work is completed on the allowance. According to the policy, the next step is to notify all adjacent landowners of the request received and request for their comments. The Conservation Authority would also be circulated, and we need a minimum of 30 days to complete that circulation. Further to this, Mr. Bartlett has requested that the township or anyone doing further development on the road bear some of the cost of the upgrades. At this time, staff feel that this request is premature, as council has not provided staff the authority to continue this process as per the policy. So the report is before you, and we are looking for authorization from council to start the process for Mr. Bartlett and continue with the circulation to the neighboring properties and then bring the results back to council.
So basically, it's to begin the process.
Exactly.
Okay, any comments, members of council? You've had the report. Let's hear from you. Go ahead, Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I read the report that the extent of the road is about 20 meters from the regular maintained road. Is that correct?
I think it's a little longer than that, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, maybe I'm reading it wrong. The right of way shows 20 meters on the.
Oh, yes, I understand what
Actually,
you're looking at. Through you, Mr. Mayor, where it says right of way 20 meters, that is the width of the right of way, not the length of it.
Okay. So what's, do you have any idea approximately the length of it?
I don't remember offhand. I feel like it is in the 400 meter range, but I can get back to you with an exact number.
Sure. I just a ballpark is fine.
Go ahead, Mr. Watt.
Just a quick question, if I could, to Martina, if through you, Mr. Mayor. Is this property, I'm looking at the GS map again right now, and it doesn't show some of the roads in there. Is this the property between Webster Road and Douro-Dummer Road? Or I'm guessing that's kind of where it is. And is it coming in from the south or the north?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct. It is situated between those two roads, and he would be approaching the lot from the south going north.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or clarity questions? Go ahead, Sheila. You're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any idea how many lots are potentially in there, Martina?
There are quite a few. Many of them are in wetland features, and so they would probably not be developed anytime in the near future. But I could get back to council with the number of lots that would potentially be accessed. Well, actually, through you, Mr. Mayor, now that I look at the GIS image, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots that would be able to have greater access to their properties based on the road that Mr. Bartlett is intending to build.
And if I may have a follow-up, there's no way that any of the potential purchasers in the future can be forced or pressured into paying any of the fees that would be taken up by doing this road. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think we would need to get legal advice on how that type of arrangement would need to be structured.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem that it would be likely.
Carl?
The policy would have to be updated accordingly in order to do that. If you extend a hydro line through unserved territory, if somebody puts up capital to have that done, there is a provision in extension of hydro lines to allow the growth people to pay a share of that original capital. So that's what we'd have to do if there was a desire of the council to to have something in place, which is probably reasonable in the big picture of things.
So for now, we are simply agreeing to begin the process. Tom, go ahead.
Yes, I am prepared to make that motion to have staff proceed with the process and keep us in the loop on the way through and if there's any hiccups.
Carl?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, that motion is on the floor, duly seconded. Any other comments on the motion? Call for the votes. All in favor? All opposed? That motion is approved. Thank you very much. Our next item, 9.2, is fishing at Crow's Landing, McCracken's Landing wharfs. As we know, we had to deal with that last spring. And Martina, I'll let you review the options that are before us right now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a report regarding the bylaw that was passed on June 30th, 2020. It was bylaw 2020-37, and it prohibited fishing at the public wharfs within the township. That bylaw, as you know, was the result of extensive work that was completed by a working committee appointed by council to examine the issues that were being reported at the wharfs. Through that process, the committee recommended that the bylaw be put in place to prohibit fishing, and the bylaw was passed for a one-year term, so it's set to expire on March 1st, 2021. Since the passing of the bylaw, staff have received a much smaller number of complaints regarding fishing at the wharfs and from the community in the vicinity of the wharfs. Staff have not received any comments in opposition to the prohibition of fishing since the signs were erected in mid-July 2020. Staff have also not received any requests for special fishing events in 2020, but hopefully with progress on the COVID front, we will see those in 2021 again. With the bylaw set to expire on March 1st and the COVID-19 pandemic still ongoing, staff are looking for direction on how to proceed. The following options are available. Option 1, allow the bylaw to expire on March 1st, 2021 and have staff remove existing signage. Option 2, direct staff to conduct a new round of public consultation between now and the end of March, remove the signs after March 1st, and bring forward the results of the consultation for discussion. Number 3, direct staff to bring forward an amendment to the existing bylaw prior to the expiration date for an additional year in the hopes that the current pandemic will be well under control by March 1st, 2022. And the final one is to direct staff to bring forward a bylaw to amend the existing bylaw to make it permanent prior to March 1st, 2021. And staff are looking for council's direction and comment on this.
Okay, you've heard the options, you've had the reports. So I'm assuming members of council have a solid opinion as to what the best thing to do is. So let's hear from you. Go ahead, Sheila.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Based on the fact that the pandemic is still quite active, and also based on the fact that it was a very good summer at the landings with regard to fishing interfering with people and things like that, and there was little garbage and very few complaints. And based on all of that and the fact that the restriction was well accepted, I would suggest option 1, 2, 3, 4 to amend the bylaw to make it permanent. That would be my feeling.
Okay, are you prepared to make that a motion?
I would do that. To receive the report of January 25th and chose the fourth option, direct staff to bring a bylaw to amend the existing bylaw to make it permanent prior to March 1, 2021.
Will we find a seconder to that motion before I ask others to comment on it? Tom, you'll second the motion?
I'll second it for some conversation on it. Yes, please.
Okay, that motion is on the floor, duly seconded. Who would like to speak on it? Go ahead, Carl.
I cannot support that motion at this time. I think there's a number of people out there that their only access to fishing is through public wharfs and so on. They don't have boats. Quite often young people And I would think it would be premature. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't support a permanent ban a year from now or March 1st, 2022, but I think to do it now would be premature and we would be seen as opportunists to get the job done without a whole lot of people looking. And I don't think that's right. I think there should be public consultation. And I think there's a lot of people that aren't like people that would like the opportunity to be able to continue to have that as one spot where they can take their young family for fishing from time to time in normal times.
Okay, thank you for that, Carl. Heather, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I appreciate what Councillor Landsman is looking to accomplish to make it a permanent situation. I know it's been an ongoing challenge for residents and businesses in the area, but I also echo Deputy Mayor Moher's sentiment where we really do need to think long and hard about access to these areas so that the public can experience fishing who don't have access and try and have as much access to our shoreline as possible, and allowing anglers to fish from there is something that I wouldn't want to prevent without more thorough consultation. I believe the consultation that was undertaken prior to the temporary bylaw being enacted was through a community survey, but also during the pandemic times where we couldn't really have proper and fulsome discussion around it. So at this time, I can't support making that bylaw permanent, but would certainly be comfortable with extending it for another season to allow us an opportunity to get more community consultation.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, you're muted.
Go ahead, Tom, your comments.
Yes, thank you. Sheila and I did a lot of work with our counterparts on that, and it was a very, very tough decision to make, stuff like that. And I'm still not 100% sure that I haven't heard a lot of comments, but I have had a couple saying, hey, you know what, it's the only place I can take my grandson. Whether they ever would or not, I have no idea. But I'd like to see it extended another year for sure. And because of the pandemic, stuff like that, my only concern is how do we really monitor the fact of, do we open it for a certain length of time and just see how bad it gets again? Or, how many locals do go there to use it, that type of thing, whatever, because I don't think it's the locals who are a problem. And I hate to say that, but in everything that we come up with, it wasn't the locals that we were having problems with. So I'm not quite sure how to deal with that one, but I do believe that we should not open it up this year due to the pandemic, for one thing.
Mr. Mayor, you muted again.
It keeps clicking back off for some reason. Okay, sorry. I'm just reflecting on our original decision, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think our reasoning was because of social distancing. The COVID-19 situation was at its peak, as it is right now, and we simply said that social distancing was not being adhered to. That was the reason, and that's why we said we'd cut it for a year. So I don't see any problem with extending the bylaw for another year for exactly the same reason. We have an obligation to follow public health rules, and it was very clear that the people on the wharf, whoever they were, doesn't matter who they were not social distancing, and that is an absolute must during what we're in. Okay, we have a motion on the floor which is duly seconded to make the bylaw permanent. That motion is still valid, Councillor Landsman? You're muted, as I was.
It keeps going to muted. Yes, having heard all the comments, I would change the bylaw if that were the motion if that were permitted, to have it.
You can certainly withdraw your motion.
In that case, I'll withdraw my motion. May I make another motion?
Let me see if the seconder is willing to withdraw the motion. And he is. You were going to make another motion? Go ahead.
Yes, I would make a motion that the bylaw be extended in the hopes that the COVID pandemic will be well under control to March 21, 2022.
When
March
we will-
1, 2022.
When we will reevaluate the situation.
That's right. To reevaluate it at that time.
Okay, a seconder to that. Tom, you're going to second that as well.
Yes, I will second that one, yes.
Any discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Councillor Watson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I do support that motion. However, I would perhaps ask staff to flag this item to bring forward sooner than this time next year, so that should council wish to look at further extensions, that we can have time for proper community consultation, whatever that looks like in 2022. So that would be my only request as a follow-up. I don't think it needs to be an addendum or another motion, but I do support the motion as it's presented.
Are we all in agreement to that request to staff? You can just nod your head. Okay, that's fine. Staff will make note of that. I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor? All opposed? That motion is approved. Item 9.3, we have a memo from our fire chief about the Ontario Fire College and all the changes that are going on. Excuse me. And indeed, how fortunate we are to have the Norwood Fire Academy. Is Chuck there?
Yes, I am.
Chuck, you're hiding. We can't see you. Can we? There. There we go, Chuck. How lovely to see you.
You as well. Nice to be
Okay.
seen.
If you can give us a brief run through on the memo that you've already sent to us, but go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, this is just information that the Fire College announcement of their closure is happening in March of this year. Sort of people have been talking about it for decades, but the reality is that it came to fruition now. We are in good shape, having the EOETA in our backyard, and hard to tell in the future of what that will look like, but we did, since this report's been made, we have a few courses from the Ontario Fire College that we are lining up to launch at the training center. So hopefully that's a good sign, and some cooperation with some adjunct instructors from people in the area. So hopefully we'll support that with our own people within the county and surrounding counties that use it. And it'll be another good thing for us to move forward with that. So time will tell if the program will work for us. The provincial way is a little bit different than what we've been doing for flexibility and options, but there's hopefully lessons to be learned on both sides, and that both sides can be a little flexible, and we can deliver the courses that our firefighters need. So
Good.
It's mostly just an information to let you know what's happening.
Good report. Thank you for that, Chuck. Carl, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the information, Chuck. My only question was, with the closure of the main school, is that going to put pressure on capacity for municipalities like ourselves in Peterborough County that are great supporters of the school in Norwood?
It could increase capacity some. There is 20 regional training centers strategically located throughout the province, and they hope to expand that.
Okay.
And with the numbers that are happening, the idea is that the days of traveling across the province to take training is what they're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
So they're hoping that more regional training centers, people will go there. And we're already capturing our people because it's a long way to go to Gravenhurst to take a course.
Yeah.
And the daytime doesn't work for volunteers. So most of our stuff's in evenings or weekends. So I don't see a huge demand on it, but there's some full-time departments around that may be looking at some OFC courses that they can no longer take at Gravenhurst that we may be able to pick up. But I think it's a demand with some capacity that we can handle. And in the end, it's, they can't dictate to us what courses we're going to run or how to schedule that. So it won't affect our key partners that we have with some of our partners there, like Sir Sanford Fleming College and stuff like that. So that won't be affected. And again, hopefully it'll just a little bit of extra capacity to help with operating the center, and it should all be positive.
Good, thank you.
Good. Okay, any other questions of Chuck? Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, thank you very much, Chuck. Very, very good report, and thank you for keeping us up to date on that. I'm not real familiar with exactly what they do and don't do at the singer, but is there any opportunity for us to maybe pick up some equipment that we need that we've been kind of sitting on the fence on like that, or is that something that they really didn't delve into? It was more like book training.
As far as the fire college closure,
Yes.
is that what you mean? So yeah, they haven't really said that they're gonna, divvy up the equipment that's there. There wasn't really a plan brought to us on how they're going to move forward with this. The only thing they did say is that they are investing in a few mobile live fire training trailers that they can take these around to locations or RTCs that require them. But we've just invested that $250,000 into our fire tower running off propane. So we probably won't need that unless we have capacity where we're trying to run 2 at once or something like that. But that's probably not realistic. But so that's as far as the support that we have so far. Is going to be mostly from they're going to supply initial instructors for courses that we haven't ran before, so that we can develop our own adjunct instructors locally. So we will get support from the fire college on an instructor from time to time on new courses. So,
Right. Thank you.
Okay, good. Chuck, thank you very much. I know you are very involved with our fire center, and I hope you continue that way. You've certainly been leading the pack along with others. So thank you for doing that.
thank you.
Okay, a motion to receive that report. There's no action required. Tom,
Yep,
who else?
motion received.
And Carl, all in favor? All opposed? That motion is approved. Thank you very much. Committee minutes, other reports. Carl, with a quick update on county council matters. Go ahead.
Sure. County Council is heavy into budget right now. The public meeting is going to be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. If you're interested in sitting in and watching what's input from the public, there will be a presentation as well. Now, also good news, all people giving consent at Fairhaven have been vaccinated, have received their
Good.
first vaccination. And there may be a few people that consent was not received by the day that it was around, but I'm sure they'll get picked up in short order. Also, at last County Council, there was a resolution passed to encourage the federal and provincial governments to provide more emergency funding for long-term care facilities, and even encouraging the increasing the raises or the wages of some of the PSWs, looking at the whole model for delivery of the service. So it was passed by council, and because with the COVID on, the long-term care people seem to be, once they get into a home, it just seemed to spread like wildfire. So hopefully in future, this resolution will get some mileage, and we'll be able to develop procedures to manage that a little bit better. So especially in the private sector, the public sector, Fairhaven have been able to manage it very well. So, but some of the private sector homes have not managed it as well. So it's a moving target. It's unfortunately you can't see this disease, and it's continuing to present some major risk. So I think that's primarily the information from this summary in the county anyway.
Okay, any questions? Motion to receive the report then, please. Sheila and Heather? All in favor? All against? That is approved. Item 10.2 are the departmental reports, which you've all had, which have been available to everyone. I'll take a motion for all of 10.2 for administration, the building department, the emergency management, finance, parks and rec, and public works. One motion, please, from Heather, and a seconder from Sheila. Discussion on the motion. Carl?
A couple of questions. I noticed on the CAO's report, the dealing with marsh insurance relative to renewal. And I just wondered, are we getting estimates from Frank Cowan as well to look at our insurance? And I got a couple more questions as well.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, at this time, we are not looking at other agents. We do have we are in the second year of a 5-year contract with Marsh.
Okay.
So,
Because one of the things that came up last time was that we apparently, and I'm not sure who was responsible for it, only gave them 30 days notice, and it was too short a time frame to provide. And Cowan are due the county, and we were very surprised when we did the insurance overview a few years ago that they were able to better the price by substantial amounts. My second question has to do with the fire report automatic alarms. I noticed there's a few of them coming forward. I imagine if some of these alarms will be automatic false alarms. Do we bill for false alarms, or?
Do we have Chuck there? There you go.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Yes, we have a false alarm bylaw. It is an item that I'm looking at reviewing, just because it was done quite some time ago, probably just shortly after amalgamation, and some of the rates need to be looked at.
Good.
So what there is, we send a letter after the second one telling them that their third and subsequent one will be charged. So the first one is nothing is said. The second one, a letter is said telling them about the bylaw and that they would be invoiced the next time and every time after that.
Good. Thank you very much. And my last question is the recreation facilities. And Martina, you may not have an answer for this, but I noticed that the Douro Community Center Harvest Room, there were holes and dents in the wall at Douro Community Center Harvest Room. It almost reads as if somebody's playing hockey in the Harvest Room. Is there something going on there that we should know about, or?
They wouldn't do that, would they, Carl?
through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe some of that is just the wear and tear from having chairs and tables stacked against the walls over the years. So,
Okay. And my final comment is I really do appreciate these reports. These reports are just excellent. So thank you, Martina, and your senior managers for putting these together. I know it takes time to put them together, but it gives me a great overview of what we're day-to-day work that we're involved with. So thanks very much.
It saves a lot of time at council too, staff having to explain detail after detail. So it's all done for us and we appreciate it. Last comment from Sheila, go ahead.
Is it still muted?
No, you're okay now.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two points. One with regard to the library minutes, and I think it's probably just sort of a housekeeping typo type thing. There are minutes for the library, May, June, July, August, September, and December. I believe the second set of the minutes dated September 15th are actually November minutes, and it would indicate so by the resolution numbers and by the date of the next meeting. So that's just probably a housekeeping change. And my other question is through you, Mr. Mayor, to Martina about the ESA inspections of the township facilities. Is that something we should be concerned about?
through you, Mr. Mayor, no, that's a yearly process that we have to undergo.
Oh, okay. No, I just wondered
Don't have
about
much of a
the
choice on that.
deficiencies.
Oh,
Okay.
no, the deficiencies this year, through you, Mr. Mayor, were actually less than in the past.
Good.
We've been able to capture more of them each year, and so that's actually a good process for us.
Thank you.
Good. Carl, you had one more?
Yes, the 10.3 regarding the libraries, is that
That's a
included
separate
in
motion, yeah.
too?
That's
Okay.
a separate motion.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're dealing with 10.2.1 to 10.2.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was losing something there.
I won't say
Sorry,
anything.
my apologies.
I won't say anything, Carl. Okay, that motion is on the floor to receive all those departmental reports. All in favor?
Thank you.
Approved. Did I get a mover and a seconder for that, or was I ahead of myself, Martina?
No, Mr. Mayor, the mover and seconder on those departmental reports, the mover was Councillor Watson, and it was seconded by Councillor Landsman.
Okay, thank you very much. 10.3, and these are the library board minutes, May, June, July, August, September, and November. Was this because of COVID, just delays in getting them out, I guess, Martina?
I believe that's the case. I don't have any other real information. I know the library board went to a virtual sessions, and I'm not sure if that was part of the transition period for them moving forward.
Okay, Carl?
I would move to receive the library minutes, and I have a comment if somebody seconds it.
Second by Sheila, go ahead.
I noticed in the minutes when I reviewed them, because of COVID, many of the normal things that the library gets involved with, they can't be involved anymore. And there's a number of volunteers that want to help and do things, but can't. And I'm sure there's a lot of young people as well that can't do the normal thing that they get involved with the library. But there is one thing that one of the schools did in Peterborough was send letters, letter writing to residents of long-term care, and Fairhaven is one of the places that are on that list. And those letters are very well received by individuals at Fairhaven that don't have visitors or can't have visitors. So I did mention it, Heather, I know you're on the board. I did mention it to somebody I ran into on the board, so it may come up at a future meeting. But some of the volunteers, if they're looking for something to do, it's a very great thing to, the old letter campaign, it was very well received at the Fairhaven by the residents.
Be good for the schools to do that too, eh?
Don't even have to put a name on it, just
Yeah.
send it in and with, who might need a letter. And Lionel Towns is the CAO there, and he or Jen could distribute them accordingly.
So Heather, you'll take that back to the board perhaps? Very creative idea.
I will.
Good.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Sheila.
Yes, my comments with regard to the date of the minutes will still stand. I believe the
that's
second
fine.
set of September minutes should be dated November.
Okay, we'll have staff make that change if appropriate. Martina?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm just pulling them up now. Let's see what it is that it's being referred to. Yeah, I'll let the library board know, and they'll have to make that change.
Yeah, let them in look at
on
it.
their side.
Sheila picked that up, so.
I picked it off as well.
Did you? We've got a couple of pickers here. That's good.
True.
Okay, a motion to, all we do is receive those minutes anyway. It's, there's no
Correct.
decisions to be made. Motion to receive those minutes. Did I have it already?
I think so.
Okay,
Right.
We
call
do
for
have
vote.
a mover and a seconder.
All in favor? All opposed? That is approved. We have no bylaws to deal with. We do have some action correspondence to deal with, action items. The Township of Laird requesting interim cap on gas plant and greenhouse gas pollution and the development and implementation of a plan to phase out gas-fired electricity generation. Carl, what is your choice?
As we do not know enough about this whole subject, I would move to receive it.
Move to receive, seconder by Heather. Discussion on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion is approved. County of Peterborough and Township of Asphodel Norwood, and this is something that is indeed going around everywhere to generate some support. And this is just asking for an extension to the province for the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, which is a huge job. And my goodness, we can't do everything at the snap of a finger. Tom, go ahead.
Motion to receive and support.
Receive and support, seconder. Sheila, all in favor? All opposed? That motion is approved. Information items 13.1 to 3 from Ontario Good Roads about the slate of candidates for the Board of Directors and Municipal Employer Pension Center, Ontario newsletter. To receive all 3, place motion. Heather and Carl.
I'll move to receive them.
Heather and Carl. All in favor? All opposed? Motion is approved. Accounts to December 18th. Martina, comment?
Mr. Mayor, just to let council know, these accounts ran from December 18th to January 25th, just to provide that clarification.
Okay, thank you for that. Carl?
I move to receive and pay.
Seconder? Tom? Discussion on the motion. All in favor? All opposed? That motion is approved. Any notices of motion? Seeing no hands. Any announcements of community interest? Carl?
Happy Groundhog Day to everyone.
We have no closed session. And confirming bylaw 2021-15. We can't hide our head in the sand. Heather and Sheila, all in favor? All opposed? And last but not least, a motion to adjourn from Tom and Carl. All in favor? All opposed? That motion is approved. We'll say goodbye, good night to everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks at our next meeting. And we ask that everyone please stay home, stay safe, save lives. Let's get through this pandemic together. Thank you all very much.